She did not run a great campaign, and you're going to keep losing if you insist that she ran a great campaign.
I'm saying, look, there was no model for the campaign that she had.
Donna Brazile is losing it. She still can't seem to process the election loss. Probably stuck in full-blown denial. But you know Maher, he has zero patience for people who bend reality to fit their narrative. So when Donna tried her usual spin, he obliterated her hypocrisy, and trust me, it was brutal. There's a lot to break down here, so let's not waste time. Let's dive in.
The big issue, right, was immigration. And
inflation, immigration.
Those two are very big issues. And you asked Vice President Harris, why did you let all these people in for the last 4 years? She did not have an answer. I still don't know the answer. They actually could, with an executive order, shut it down as they did earlier this year. So why did they not do it 3 years earlier? And I think people felt she did not respond to that in any way. She had no answer on inflation, and she also seemed to represent that whole woke zone that people are sick to death of. And I think those three did it.
I agree with the first two, but I'm not going to get into this, oh, the people are too damn woke. That wasn't an issue.
Donna Brazile is still struggling to accept the election results. She seems completely stuck in denial. But you know M, he has no tolerance for people who twist reality to fit their own story. So when Donna tried to spin things her way, he called out her hypocrisy, and it was absolutely ruthless. There's a lot to unpack. So let's get right into it.
I disagree with you.
I know, and that's why you're going to keep losing.
No, man, look.
I mean, it's not to go. Okay. But not to go.
On July 21st at 1:41 p.m., when Joe Biden announced that he was going to step down, Kamala Harris had to step up. Now, what other Democrat could have stepped up in that period of time?
We're not arguing about that.
All right.
We're arguing the campaign she ran. They asked her what she would do differently. She said, I can't think of anything. That's terrible.
How do we trust a party that was telling us with a straight face that Joe Biden could be president for 4 more years without any problem whatsoever? That's what the Democrats were telling us. It was a massive lie. We saw through it. Everyone saw through it.
Did you see him this week? Could you imagine if we were just starting on the next term?
Oh, Donna, whether you admit it or not, it was a big issue. People were exhausted, non-stop woke messaging, endless gender debates, kids being pushed into transitioning without parental consent, and biological men taking over women's sports. It felt like we were being force-fed an agenda, and if we questioned it, we were labeled bigots. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris barely addressed the real problems everyday Americans face. Inflation? Silence. Border crisis? Nothing. Instead, it was all about equity and lived experiences. Here's the reality. No one cares about pronouns when they're struggling to afford groceries. People noticed, and they made their voices heard. So, do you see what I mean when I say Donna is losing it? Bill Maher certainly does.
The work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles. Well, let's start with this. On this subject, the aid that we have given Israel allowed Israel to defend itself against 200 ballistic missiles that were just meant to attack the Israelis and the people of Israel. And I think that is the most recent example of why what we do to assist in their defense around military aid is important. And when we think about the threat that Hamas, Hezbollah presents, Iran, I think that it is, without any question, our imperative to do what we can to allow Israel to defend itself against those kinds of attacks. Now, the work that we do diplomatically with the leadership of Israel is an ongoing pursuit around making clear our principles, which include the need for humanitarian aid, the need for this war to end, the need for a deal to be done which would release the hostages and create a ceasefire.
Another major reason the Democrats lost, and Bill Maher hit the nail on the head, was the nonstop lying from the White House. It was painfully obvious that Joe Biden was not fit to lead the most powerful country in the world. The man has literally wandered off mid-speech, tried shaking hands with thin air, and needed cue cards to remind him to sit down. And yet, People like Donna Brazile kept gaslighting everyone, insisting he could handle another term. And his backup? Even worse. Kamala Harris had no plan, no vision. When asked what she'd do differently if she were in charge, she dodged, stumbled, and delivered another one of her infamous word salads. Voters saw right through it. She wasn't just unprepared. She was completely out of her depth. Every time she spoke, it was like watching a student trying to BS their way through a presentation. She'd laugh awkwardly, ramble in circles, and somehow manage to say absolutely nothing in a full minute of talking. And who could forget her bizarre "the passage of time" moment? It left everyone wondering how she even got this far. If this was the Democrats' backup plan, no wonder voters ran the other way. Their message didn't connect with anyone. And the worst part? The media played along. Instead of holding them accountable, they covered up stories, edited interviews, and worked overtime to make Kamala look competent. Now, let me show you this leaked clip from Kamala Harris's CBS 60 Minutes interview. She performed so poorly they had to edit parts out to save her campaign. Watch the difference between what aired and what she actually said.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end. The work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region. And we're not going to stop doing that. We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
If you actually understood what Kamala Harris just said in the unedited version, please explain it to me in the comments, because I'm completely lost. Seriously, was that even English? But that's the point. CBS had to edit her answer just to make it sound halfway coherent. They literally cut out the embarrassing rambling and pieced together the least ridiculous parts, hoping no one would notice. And this is who the woke mob wanted to push on us. A VP who needs a professional editing team just to sound competent. They told us she was a historic leader, a brilliant mind. But the moment you take away the media's safety net, all that's left is word salads and nervous laughter. The American people saw right through it. It's almost like the media thought we wouldn't notice. But no amount of editing can hide the fact that Kamala Harris struggles to form a single clear thought under pressure. Imagine needing an entire PR team just to answer basic questions. Is that leadership? The media prop her up. The woke crowd demanded we praise her. But when it was time to actually lead, she completely fell apart. And if you think this was just a one-time fluke, wait until you see this next clip from former Vice President Kamala Harris.
From CBS's perspective, Jack, they clearly made a calculus over here, and I'm not sure it was fully thought through or it's coming to fruition the way they thought, because I don't think they actually changed anybody's minds in terms of the coherence or succinctness of Kamala Harris as a communicator. She had been well established as somebody who was prone to rambling. This term word salad has become a phrase that everybody's familiar with her.
It's almost impressive how Donna Brazile can blame the election loss on everything except Kamala Harris. Seriously, Harris was vice president for 4 years, yet she still sounded completely clueless when asked about U.S. foreign policy on Israel. That wasn't a trick question. It wasn't a gotcha moment. It was basic, fundamental knowledge she should have mastered by now. And what did we get? Another rambling, incoherent answer that left everyone wondering if she even knew what she was talking about. This is exactly why they lost. Biden had lost touch with reality, and his so-called successor had no idea what she was doing. The American people saw the disaster unfolding in real time and said no thanks. But instead of admitting their mistakes, the Democrats doubled down, pretending everything was fine. They gaslit the public, insisting Harris was a strong leader, when she couldn't even put together a competent response. Voters weren't fooled. They saw the incompetence, the lack of direction, and the sheer embarrassment of it all. And when Election Day came, they made one thing very clear. America wasn't signing up for more years of the circus.
Was it appropriate to bury the Hunter Biden?
You're talking about the press doing that?
He's saying that's what they did, and that is what they did. They buried the Hunter Biden story before the election because they were like, We can't risk having the election thrown to Trump. We'll tell them after the election.
And we know for a fact that that's what they did?
Of course. You don't
but
follow
I'm
this.
saying you know for a fact that that's what they did. I don't know what they did.
I know, because you only watch MSNBC.
No, that's not true.
After Maher's explosive takedown, social media lit up with praise for the comedian. One person wrote, asterisk, I respect that Maher is willing to state the truth that all honest Americans already know. Asterisk, another chimed in, asterisk, Bill Maher is finally peeking around the corner of reality. Slowly but surely. Asterisk, others ripped into the Democrats for their massive charade. One commenter wrote, asterisk, if they kept a dementia patient as president for 4 years, why wouldn't they script, edit, and polish her interviews to high heaven? She talks like she was given a 500-word essay assignment and is desperately trying to fill up the other 475 words. Asterisk. Another added, asterisk. If the Democrats want any chance of winning the next election, they need to do some serious house cleaning, and fast. That means rethinking their failed policies, out-of-touch messaging, and, yes, their leadership. If that means replacing Kamala Harris, so be it. She's a political dead end. There's no path forward with her at the helm. Asterisk. Voters have made it crystal clear. They're tired of leaders who can't lead. And Harris has proven time and time again that she's all talk and no substance. If Democrats keep pushing her as their future, they're in for another rude awakening. Sooner or later, they'll have to make a choice. Double down on failure or make real changes before it's too late. Here are Bill Maher's closing remarks.
The woman the media tried to tell us was a competent and visionary leader, an orator. Yes, it's Kamala time.
For those rights to be maintained, which means we have to be vigilant, and it's just the nature of it.
Oh, I'm not sure if that's Kamala time or happy hour. The former Veep appears to be unburdened by sobriety.
The bottom line, the Democrats lost because they refused to face reality. They propped up a president who had lost touch with the world and a VP who couldn't form a coherent sentence without media interference. Instead of addressing their problems, they doubled down, gaslighting voters, editing interviews, and pretending Kamala Harris was a capable leader. But the people weren't fooled. Bill Maher was right. Whitewashing Harris is a losing strategy. If the Democrats don't clean house and rethink their leadership, they'll keep losing elections. America rejected the circus. It's up to them to decide what happens next. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed our commentary, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Share this with your anti-woke friends so we can push back together. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.